Let's set up our choose city view controller. And what I'm going to do is just get rid of all these comments. So we have only our viewDidLoad function. And let's add some extra space so we have somewhere to work. So we have our IB outlets on top, and I'm going to put a mark and put some variables. Since we have a table view, which is going to hold all our locations so we can search it, what we need to do is to have a data source for our table view. So we're going to have an array of all locations. And this is going to be an array of weather location. And we're going to instantiate it with an empty array. Then I want to create another variable and call this filtered locations. And we need this because we want to search inside our array. So if I open my ready application here, let's see this one here. And if I go, by default, we don't see anything. So our all locations will be loaded with all the available cities from our location, comma separated value file, but we're not going to display any of them. What we are going to display only whenever our user search for something and there is a match. So as soon as there is a match, we will take the match from our all locations, put it in our filtered locations, and we are going to display it to our user. So our filtered locations, if I type, for example, Nicosia here, automatically it gets filtered. So you can see how our filtering is working in real time as I am typing. So with N, we have a lot of cities and countries. You can see the arrow, the scroll bar is here on top. So we have a lot of things to scroll down. And if I go through, it becomes less and less. We have only one option for Nicosia. All right, so I'm going to have a weather location in my filter as well, so they match. And then, of course, we need a search controller. So we have our search controller there on top. So we are going to create, so I say let search controller. And this is going to be equal to UI search controller. And I'm going to instantiate one with a search controller. And for now, we're going to pass a nil here. So first thing we need is to load all the locations from our comma separated value file into our array of all locations. So how we are going to do that? We need a function that will do all the work for us. So I'm going to call this function in my viewDidLoad, and then this function is going to go through all the lines in our comma separated value file, and we'll get all the information. And once we get them, we're going to create a weather location object for each line, and we're going to store them in our all locations array. So let's, at the bottom here, I'm going to put a mark and call this get locations. And we're going to have a private function. And this is going to be called load locations from CSV. So we know what our function does. Okay, and in order to parse our CSV file, we need to first access it. So we need a path to our file. Since this is in our bundle of our project, I'm going to say, first we need to check, of course, if there is such a file. So say if let path, which is our file path, is equals, and we access our bundle, and we need a main bundle path, and we're going to get the path, the resource, the file name of type, which is a format. So the file name is string, and in my case it's location with small letters. So if you have renamed the source file that I provided, make sure you type exactly the file name you have provided. And the type is CSV. Pay attention, we don't put any .csv, just CSV. And then we put our curly braces. So we check if the path exists. I'm going to, so it means that we have the file. So we need another function. Let's write private func parse cs comma separated value at, and I'm going to pass URL, which is going to be URL. This is the path of our file. Okay, so if we have a path, we can call this function and we pass the path to our function, which is going to do the parsing. So let's call the function. We say parse CSV at URL, and I will pass my path here. So we have clean code. This function will just check if we have a file, and this function will do the parsing for us. Let's see what's the error here. The path is, we need to create a URL. So I will say URL, and we're going to create a URL with file URL path. And we pass our path here. This way we will not have any errors.